Welcome to the Ditsy Chicks with Jamie and Mary.
Oh, you sound so nice.
Thank you. I love my voice when I'm recording to like the actual like good stuff. Like listening back to mine and Dylan's stuff, I'm just like, oh my god, I sound like a babe. And then you see my face, and I am in fact not a babe, but I'm a babe to Dylan, and that's all that matters to me.
You have a face for recording.
I'm just a pretty voice. You only want me for my vocal cords. Oh my gosh. We're off to a great start.
Yeah, so this is our podcast.
Absolutely, it is.
I
It's just
concur.
gonna get better from
This
here.
is in fact our podcast.
Yeah. We named it. It's ours. Only ours.
If this isn't like perfect for our name, I don't know what is.
I don't know either. I mean, we had kind of a better name before.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And then somebody also
Already
had a
had that.
podcast.
Yeah.
with that. So that
It just
didn't work out for
the
us.
first time I searched for it though, it never came up. And then I was like, you know what? I better check. And all of
Sure
a
enough, it
sudden,
was there.
yeah, I was like, are you fucking kidding
And
me
it
right
was
now?
like way more advanced. It wasn't like they were
She
just
had
starting.
episodes. She started in like 2020 or something. And I'm like, how the hell does this not come up the first time? Assholes. God.
But I think the Ditsy Chicks works.
Oh, absolutely.
For who we are and what we do,
Mhm.
which is I don't know what we do. We're just ADHD. What?
I'm trying to aim it more at your mouth because I can like barely hear you.
That's what she's.
Maybe if I do this. Get wrecked, Jamie. Loser. It's
I've
I
had
can't
worse
do that.
things in my face.
Dad, I don't remember what Dad said last night, but he said something. Oh, he said we were talking about the chicken, and he was like, "Oh, you got some cock," and I was like, or something like that. And I really wanted to say something. It was so funny. I was like, I can't say that to my father-in-law. That's so uncomfortable. But I would have said it to anybody else. I don't even remember what it was, but it was really funny. Like I laughed to myself, and both Dylan and Dad looked at me, and they're like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
You should have just said it anyways.
I should have. I should have.
It would have been memorable.
Oh yeah.
You probably would have made Dylan feel weird for sure.
It's not hard to make him feel uncomfortable.
I know. That's what's
It's
so
fun.
fun.
Yeah, it's fun to make him uncomfortable.
I love making him uncomfortable
Mhm.
so much. It's the way his body language changes
Yep.
and he just gets so like
Speaking of making Dylan uncomfortable, on my Snapchat memories, 5 years ago today, we went to Spencer's
Mhm.
and there was like a squeaky dick toy in the back, and I have a video of me squeezing it and then panning over to him, and he's like, "Don't." And I just keep doing it. He's like, "Stop." And I think that was the beginning of me irritating the shit out of him and him being visibly uncomfortable. Once I figured that out, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to do this all the time. You're never going to get rid of
this is
me."
gonna be us forever.
Yes. And now that we're married,
Mhm.
it's permanent now. He can't get rid of me.
Yep.
You're going nowhere.
You ain't going nowhere. Or rather, I ain't going
Yeah.
nowhere.
Yup.
Well, anyways, you're Mary and I'm Jamie.
Yes, I'm Mary. The other one's Jamie.
And we have a crazy, I don't know, not really a crazy situation, but
No.
our lives just kind of all came together within the last year.
Oh, yeah.
Mary and my brother Dylan moved in with my dad. There's 3 generations living in that house, which I feel like more and more families are going to be multi-generational houses with
Right.
the housing market and everything. And I only live one town over, and we're all just one big happy family with our children. And
Yeah. And it's just going to
everything.
get bigger, and it's just going to get happier.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to watch our family grow.
Me too. I'm excited to watch our family grow via you and no longer me.
Yeah.
I have 4 kids, and that's all I'm having now.
Yeah. I've got 1, and I
Yeah.
want at least 2 more. Maybe at the most 2 more. I haven't decided yet. I'm indecisive with how many children I want,
Mhm.
mostly because it'll depend on where the world is when I decide I want
Yes.
more kids. Um, because if I can't afford to have more kids, why the fuck would I have more kids?
Right. Um, and, like, there's crazies out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I constantly live in fear that somebody's gonna take one of my kids.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's why Dylan and I started ordering groceries online and going to pick them up at the store instead of actually going into the store and going grocery
oh.
shopping because I get bad anxiety when I have to go grocery shopping and he
Mhm.
hates going. So I'm like, because I like physically going into the store and picking stuff out.
Yeah.
But now that I have a kid, I'm like, somebody's going to take her when I'm not looking. Somebody's going to try to take me.
Mhm.
And so I feel safer when I have Dylan with me, but he doesn't like going. So I don't want to put him through the misery of going out in public and going shopping. And then
He's
when
miserable when he goes out in public.
yes. So when I discovered that we could order stuff online for a
Mhm.
pickup and I park and they put everything in my car and I drive away, I'm like, that's what I'm doing from now on. And I only found that out when we were planning the wedding and I had to go get all the groceries for the wedding.
Mhm.
Because I the only time I'd be able to do it was right after I had to get out of work.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to spend an hour to 2 hours picking out all the shit I need for my wedding. And I had to go to Myers and Walmart because Meyer didn't have the champagne that I wanted. So I had to go to 2 different stores. I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that at 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So I pre-ordered it that morning and I went and picked it up when I came home, and it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So we started doing
Time
that now
saver,
because I'm
it's
like,
safer.
yes,
I mean, there's, like, they always used to say, like, watch out at the mall or whatever. It's like most of the time people get approached uh in like grocery store parking lots
yeah.
now. And in grocery stores.
When I
Like,
worked at Guitar Center at the mall,
mhm,
um, I remember we got out of work and I was in my car and I had called Dylan to let him know that I was on my way home. And a guy came up and knocked on my window and I had my doors locked because I worked in Lansing.
yeah,
I'm not gonna sit in my car unlocked.
right.
So I just like barely rolled down the window. I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he was like, he had asked me for money, and I was like, "I don't have any money right now because I was just getting back into the
Yeah.
workforce." And I was glad that I was on the phone with Dylan when that happened because, like, not saying anything against that guy, but who would have known what could have happened if I wasn't?
Right.
So I'm not
Yeah.
saying the solution to being safe is call somebody,
Right.
but yeah,
It's just nice to have a little bit of backup.
yeah,
But yeah, it's a crazy world out there.
it is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, what's next?
Yep. Well, I haven't written anything down that
Okay.
I've thought to talk about.
Yeah.
And I was really relying on my ADHD to do that for me. And it didn't.
Yeah.
It did not come through today at all for me. So,
Yeah.
um, got a big old noggin full of nothing today. I'm
I
so
feel like
sorry.
I've had a big old noggin full of nothing the last few days, especially yesterday. And I realized that yesterday was the new moon and
Yes, it
it
was.
didn't even like occur to me. And I was exhausted yesterday. Like the whole
Hmm.
entire day, I was just like, oh, I didn't want to do anything. And my grandma came over yesterday.
Hmm.
Um, so
You
like,
know, I was really exhausted yesterday too. And for that new moon being in Aries, that's not something you normally feel
right.
in like any Aries placement.
Yeah.
But I think because it was what the last um it was a new moon in Aries, right? Am I wrong?
I thought it was a new moon in Taurus. I swear people were saying it was a new moon in Taurus on TikTok.
Yes.
Okay.
Cuz right before the new moon,
That's
it was
why
an
we were
Aries
tired.
moon.
Yeah.
That's what made me tired.
Yeah. Slothy Tauruses. Assholes.
There we go.
Go to work. Get a job. Stop sleeping and eating food.
um Yeah, there we go. Now it makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but I mean, like, I've been fighting whatever kind of cold I have too, so
Right.
exhaustion and a baby and everything else. But those big cancer placements really get affected by the moon.
Especially mine, because mine is in my
In the
moon,
moon.
and it's my only Cancer placement.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so every time there's a new moon or a full moon, I get so tired, which sucks because I'm like, I really want to do stuff for the
Oh,
full
that's
and
so
new
sad.
moon, but every single time I get so exhausted, and then the next day I'm fine, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I just want to cleanse my space, and I just want to do stuff, and like
Yeah.
take advantage of the moon, and I
Mhm.
can't because I'm exhausted.
Yep. I always used to be so energized by the full moon,
Mm,
like, insanely energized. Like, as a Cancer sun, that always made sense to me. Um, but now having, you know, 4 kids, it doesn't matter what the moon is, I feel like I'm just always tired.
right.
Um, but funny thing about the full moons and leading up to the full moons is I can always look at my husband and say, each one of the kids is going to wake up tonight and it's going to come out and have some ridiculous issue as to why they can't sleep.
Mhm.
Um, and sure as shit, every night of the full moon, my son will come out and say something absolutely ridiculous. He can't sleep, and then he's all like emotional about it because he's tired.
Yeah.
Um, and then my 2 year old, or almost 2 year old, she'll fuss the entire night.
Mhm.
Um, and then I usually just don't sleep on those nights because my kids are awake so much, it doesn't even matter.
Right.
And then I'm just like, should I just wake them all up and go run in the street in the moonlight or what?
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, yeah.
right? Maybe it would just be better that way.
Right. But no, my grandma came over yesterday and it was a really nice visit. Um, but like and I found more and more as I get older, when I have social visits with like one-on-one with people, I get so exhausted afterwards. Like I could be fine in a giant group setting. I'm okay. But if I have like a very direct one-on-one with somebody, I just get so exhausted afterwards. I don't know what it is, and I hate it. I hate it for me.
um, as an introvert, that's how I feel all the time. So I get it.
Yeah.
I also hate that.
I blame
Sometimes I
Dylan.
hate being you got secondhand
I
introvert.
I was domesticated. That's how we put it. Because I used to be wild and outgoing and fun, and then I started dating him, and I'm like, "Ah, I don't wanna go outside. Don't invite me to do things." Like, invite me to do things so I can feel included, but just please know I
Yeah.
probably won't be going.
I think honestly, I think it 100% comes with like having kids because honestly, like when you have your kids, you're essentially being social with your kids
Right.
all the time.
Yeah.
They are sucking energy right out of
Well,
you
especially right
24/7.
now, like our daughter,
Mhm.
she's in the monkey see, monkey do stage.
Mhm.
So she is with me all the time. She's attached to my hip and she wants to see and do everything that mom is doing.
Yep.
And it's just exhausting. And plus, she's learned how to walk. So I
Mhm.
have to keep up with her and keep her out of things. And she's eating less things off the floor now, which is great.
Yeah.
But now she's getting into drawers more. And we're like, please
Oh yeah, grabby
keep your
grabby.
hands to yourself, which she doesn't know what that is. She's not even one.
Yeah.
So,
It is nice when they start walking though because the floor isn't 3 inches away from their face.
yeah.
So they're not looking at every tiny little crumb on the floor and
Mhm.
they're just like, "Oh, now I'm interested in things that are 2 feet high, anything."
Dad accidentally found out that she could reach the table now, the
Mm.
dinner table. So he like
She grabbed
put
food.
she put like a I don't remember what he had, but it was a drink. And I don't it wasn't one of his alcoholic drinks, it was just a drink.
Mhm.
And she went to reach for it and she almost grabbed it and he
Ah.
caught it just in time, but he was like, "I am never doing that again."
Well, I'm glad it wasn't coffee
Yeah.
or, like,
It
anything
was
hot.
at like 6 at night. It was like at night, so it wouldn't have been coffee.
Oh, okay. I mean, he could have been a psychopath like me and drank coffee at 6 o'clock at night, I don't know.
Or like mom at like 5 o'clock. It's coffee time.
Those were her coffee times.
Yeah.
Coffee in the morning, and then 5 o'clock in the evening. It's 5 o'clock coffee time. Sit down, you psycho.
5 o'clock coffee time was her 5 o'clock martini.
I know.
Sit down, you psycho. Oh my
And I wonder why
gosh.
caffeine doesn't even affect me anymore.
Oh
It's
god.
because of that 5 o'clock coffee.
Caffeine has never affected me.
Mm,
I don't know what it is.
yeah, I don't know. It's just comfort at
It's
this
the
point.
ADHD.
Yes.
I'm just self-medicating with coffee at this point. God.
Yes.
My joints. And I don't mean weed joints. I mean body joints. My ankles don't be ankling.
It's the same phrase between your 20s and 30s, only it changes meaning.
Oh my gosh. I've never smoked weed though, so that doesn't apply to me. I don't do drugs.
That definitely applies to me.
Oh gosh.
Oops. I'm sorry.
These are I don't care about these jeans.
There's lots of other
I don't
marks
even know
all
what
over them.
I don't even know what this shit is. It's like eyeliner or something. Fuck if I know. I think I've worn these while working on a vehicle. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
probably these are like I got these at Walmart
Mhm.
and they were too big at first. And I think they shrunk in the wash because
Mhm.
all of a sudden they're too small. And I'm like, what the hell? I know I didn't gain weight overnight.
See, that happened with all of my jeans.
Mhm.
Having the first kid went right back to the same size I was, even
Yeah.
skinnier than I
Right.
was before. Having a second child, no, it
Hmm.
was not like that.
Yeah.
Did not go back down. Nothing went back down. At that point, I couldn't even fit into my own jeans. Desperately wanted to wear jeans, and then Alex said, "Here, you can wear my jeans," and I'm like, "Really? Do I have to resort to wearing my husband's jeans because I couldn't lose my?" It's literally my thighs. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. My thighs. Um, my friend Ashley always told me I had luscious thighs.
I love Ashley.
Damn. Well, I wish they would lush a little less, okay?
I mean, you know what they say, big thighs save lives, Jamie. A man loves a bitch with big old thighs. But at least you can fit into Alex's pants. I can't share pants with Dylan. But I
Ah,
can't share his shirts even more because I'm bigger than Dylan is. Like
I mean,
we're basically the same weight, but I'm curvier than he is.
you know, I kind of wish I had that problem because unless I'm breastfeeding, I have no top curve at all.
I have no bottom curve. I'm all titties and no ass.
We could come together and morph into one crazy curvy person.
I'll give you some of my tit if you give me some of your ass, Jamie.
You can have some ass and thigh for sure.
I don't need any more thigh. I've got enough thigh. This is not to body shame anybody.
Yeah.
All bodies are beautiful.
They are.
Yes.
This is just the truth about ours.
Yes.
Since you can't see us, we have to
Yeah.
explain in great detail.
I mean, they already know I'm not a babe. So we covered that already.
I mean, I don't know. You could have been like a butterface or something. That's how I feel. I'm like, man,
Oh
I
my
do
gosh.
got these luscious thighs, but right now I definitely feel like a butterface.
No, Jamie, you're beautiful.
I'm glad I'm just behind a microphone and not a camera right now.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
Regardless, though, everyone's beautiful in their own way. And
Yeah.
yes, I am beautiful. I'm not like putting myself down. Like, like I don't think less of myself. I know
Right.
you don't think less of yourself either.
No.
Like,
Everybody goes
honestly,
through
we're just
like
joking.
well, and everybody goes through phases too where they're like, I'm the hottest thing on this earth ever,
Oh, for
and
sure.
nobody can compare to me, and I'm trash. Literal, just like burn me right now.
You're just like me. Trash.
Forky moment.
I know. I've never related to a toy more in my life. I was thinking about that like today though too, honestly, like for how crappy I feel. You know, I've I'm definitely glad I'm at a point where I still feel so good about myself, like, and that I'm so involved that I'm not about competing with anybody.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like there's no reason. I'm not about anyone trying to compete with me either. It's
Yeah.
like, girl, we can both be queens together. Like
Yeah,
we don't have
absolutely.
to, it's not
We're
you
in
or me,
different
it's both.
kingdoms. Yeah, we're all ruling our own little whatever. Like,
Yeah. Um and I'm really glad, like, I don't know, just coming to that realization this morning, sitting boob feeding my kids, staring out the window at some bees on the flowers. I was like, yeah, this is nice. This is a nice
aw.
point in my life.
Yeah. Um, I I've been doing a lot of self-reflecting recently, because of the confrontation I had with my dad.
Mhm.
And I just overall have realized that I'm less dramatic of a person than I used to be, but I'm in turn kind of more emotional than I used to be. But it's not in an immature way. Like I've very much so matured in my emotions. But
Do you think
I
it's more or less like you feel like you're in a safe place now where you can
yeah,
show your
I
emotions?
don't have to I'm not in survival mode.
Yeah.
Because Dylan makes me feel safe
Mhm.
and he reassures me and I'm at a place where I'm not really fighting with myself anymore either,
Yeah.
which is awesome because that was something I used to do all the time. I was almost in a constant battle with myself.
Mhm.
Um and I feel
That's your
like
major fire, water, energy
oh my god.
fighting itself
Yes.
all the time.
Um but it was almost like I was at war so much with myself that I almost made it other people's problems. Which, like, looking back, I'm like, "Wow, you're a fucking bitch. No wonder people didn't like me, and no wonder I only had Stevie as a consistent friend," you know? And it's like,
Your Leo rising is showing.
oh my god, my Leo rising fucked me up growing up. Like, I'm grateful for her now,
Mhm.
because of my sense of style, and I'm outgoing, and
Mhm.
control myself very well now. But as a teenager, calm down. Like, it's like I desperately needed people to like me and
Mhm.
see me and notice me. I was kind of a pick me growing up. And it's nice that I realize that now,
Mhm.
but I wish I would have realized it sooner.
Yeah.
Um Not saying that like I didn't like sever relationships doing so. And in a way, like I don't see people wanting to be my friend regardless. So I got the people I want anyways. Like I have my permanent
Mhm.
people and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can only do like 30 minutes at a time. So I'm
Oh,
keeping
okay.
an eye on the timer.
Gotcha.
There's a ghost.
What the hell are you looking at over there?
A spider.
What the hell is so interesting over there that you can't look at me for our podcast?
I'm just examining the camo on the walls.
What walls? I
Plot
thought
twist.
we were
We're
outside.
doing psychedelics. We're visiting God, Jamie. Come on.
Oh my gosh.
We're getting a side quest from God, didn't you know?
We're on a mission from God.
My children, you must record this podcast. God.
Huh.
Oh, we should talk about what inspired us to make the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did inspire us to make the podcast?
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be like a inspiration per se, but we visit all the time. We just hang out, especially like when we were planning the wedding, like we were together like all the time.
Mhm.
And we would just talk about the randomest shit and you were like, "Why don't we record the stuff we say?" And I was like,
You're
"We
right.
should start a podcast." And here we are, starting a podcast for all the random bullshit we talk about.
I mean, like, I'm very entertained with our conversations. Other
Yes.
people might not be, but
Fuck
it's
'em.
worth a shot to
It's
see
like,
if there
well,
are
and
people.
Dylan said the same thing, and I'll say to you what I said to Dylan: the right people will find us, and the
Yes.
right people will be entertained by the shit we say,
Yeah, that's
and that's all that
perfect.
matters.
And that's how we find our people.
Yes, our people, our people, our people. Why are you peeing on the pole? Stupid kids! I said stop peeing on the pole. It doesn't deserve it.
You
I'm
got
glad you
me.
think I'm funny.
You got me wheezing
You're
over
like
here.
crying a little bit.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Um, but yeah, I think we also just it's like every conversation we have, we cover like 16,000 different topics.
Yeah.
Like we'll touch on so many different topics, and probably even after this show, people will be like, "But I have so many questions. Like what happened with this and what happened with that? You
Yeah.
only said it one time."
Well, you know what? We have an email for that. And I'll plug it in the description. That way if you have questions, you can
Yes.
reach out to us. We also have an Instagram. So, if you like I went to go search our Instagram on my normal account. If you just literally start typing the Ditsy, it's like the second thing that pops up.
What's the first thing?
I don't
Oh.
remember. Probably some like dumb influencer that I don't know existed until now. I don't even know she still exists. I don't even know if it's she. They. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to them.
Could have been anything.
Yeah.
The
It could have been a
ditzy
dog.
dustpans.
The
I don't
Ditsy
know.
dustpans. Stupid dustpans. Don't work. Pick up my dust better. Idiot.
Pick up my dust better.
We got dustpans at work. So we had the old dustpan and we've had it the entire time, like the whole almost 6 years I worked for the company. We've had the same dustpan. Well, my boss got a new dustpan and I was talking to my other boss and he was like, "Yeah, this dustpan sucks." And I was like, "Well, does it pick up dirt any better?" And he goes, "No, the new one picks up dirt less better than the old one." And I was like, "Then why do we still have it? Why are you using it right now? Why don't you just use the old one?" He's funny. I love him.
They don't make stuff good quality anymore.
Nope. Not a single damn thing. Everything is made to break.
Yes.
Yeah.
Including my sanity.
I never had sanity. I was born without
I was
Dylan
born insane.
Dylan was saying, he was like, "You're a pretty grounded person." I'm like, "Fucking when?" When have you seen me be grounded? He's like, "Well, because you're a mom." And I'm like, that doesn't make me a grounded person. You can be a mom and still be an
You
airheaded
can be
bitch.
unhinged as a mom.
Yeah. Like I'm not unhinged. I'm just like I'm very airheaded. And
Mhm,
it's because I'm literally half air, half fire
mhm.
with one water placement and one earth placement. And I'm like, this fucking
That's no
sucks.
grounds for
No.
being grounded at
No, no,
all.
no, no, no. I'm not grounded at all. I never have been, and I
Mhm.
never will be. I'm always just I'm somewhere else in my own mind. I don't pay attention to what's happening in the world. I should be, and I'm aware that I should be, but I just don't have
You
the
know,
motivation.
I don't like paying attention to what's happening in the world.
It always
Some of it's
stresses
kind of
me out.
scary.
Yeah, it's scary. It stresses me out. It makes me sad. I'm already in like I put myself in an emotional state. Why would I make it worse when I have a kid to take care of now?
I purposely get emotional and hurt my own feelings. Why do I need anyone else to do that or anything else?
I don't go outside and I shut myself in a dark room. Give myself vitamin D deficiency on purpose so I can be depressed. I give myself depression. I told my doctor so he wouldn't medicate me.
I love feeling depressed. It makes me feel alive.
Why would I want to lose my sparkle? God,
Ex emo kids.
the sparkle is mental illness. The sparkle is forgetting
The
to shut
mental
all the
disorder.
cabinet doors in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, speaking of being emo, I was like, we are both like edgy people, or used to be, I
I
guess.
never went through an emo
But
phase.
you were more of a vintage edgy,
Ooh,
and I
yeah,
was a
like I was
punk
classic
edgy.
metal.
Yeah, I was a punk edgy.
Yeah, because my vintage edgy was more or less like the 60s and 70s band t-shirts,
Yeah.
um, and, ripped up jeans and
And you
just
always wore the flared jeans, which looked really good on you.
thank you.
Yes, I really liked like your style.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And I did that like all through high school. I graduated in 2010. Um, and in my high school years, then that's when skinny jeans got popular.
Yeah.
And I always hated that. Um, I guess I didn't hate it. I just hated the way they look on me because my feet are huge. And when you have skinny jeans, it only accentuates your ginormous duck feet.
Right.
So I wore flares because they make my feet look smaller. Um, but also because I always liked standing out. I never liked blending in. I never liked following any fashion trends or whatever. Sometimes I did, but I kind of added my own stuff to it. Like,
Right.
I don't think anyone else that I went to high school with ever wore leg warmers. I wore leg warmers a lot.
Well, I mean, we live in the middle of butt fuck nowhere. So
Yeah.
everybody's generally the same.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's a
true.
big family run town. Like there's a lot of big families in the town.
Yep.
So
And it's a very small town.
yeah.
Like, what did I graduate with? 43 people, I think,
My
were in my
class was
class.
like 20 some odd people.
Jesus.
Yeah. The class 2 classes before Dylan,
Mhm.
they were only like 15 people. And
15?
and only like 10 of them walked.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think. It was around those numbers. There was not very many of them, and not very many of them actually graduated. Like walked.
Wow.
Yeah, because we were like, "Holy shit." But yeah, I know Dylan's class was bigger than mine was, but not
Mhm.
by very many.
Gotcha. I guess I was at both of your guys' graduations. I just
Yeah.
don't remember.
Yeah. I had a
Um,
I kind of miss high school. But only I think I only miss high school for band though. Um
yeah.
I graduated in 2019. So Jamie and I had very different uh
That's our age difference
yeah.
right there. If you're wondering, um, I am gonna be 31 this year, and Mary
I
is
just
gonna
recently turned 22.
yeah. So there's a big age gap. We are in 2 different generations.
Yeah.
Um, and we're sister-in-laws, which is really cool. Um, and we're extremely different people, and it's
Yeah.
surprising how much we get along.
Yeah. But it's nice that we do.
Definitely. Um, like there are some small similarities. Like we're both oldest sisters.
Mhm.
So we bond in that aspect. We're both moms. We're both new age moms, young moms. Um, we both had our first kid very young.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, like, those are things that change the trajectory of your life. Having your first kid when you're pretty young in your early 20s
Right.
and stuff, that changes you a lot.
Right.
Um, but yeah, we're very different and we grew up in different ways. I mean, I grew up in a farmhouse. Um, you grew up in
Like moving all the time.
yep.
We
I never
almost
moved. I moved one time in my life.
we moved, I think we lived in apartments for the first half of my life.
Mhm.
Not half. But after my mom had my brother is when we started renting houses in the area. But we moved like pretty much every 2 to 3 years, more so
Yeah.
every 2 years. Because I remember when Dylan and I got our apartment, we were there for 3 years before we were like coming back here.
Mhm.
And that was kind of heartbreaking to me because I think I was like, that's the longest I've ever been in one spot and I'm fucking moving again.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me. Like I remember there was one night I went to the apartment by myself after work. That way I could finish cleaning.
Mhm.
And I went to go lock the door behind me, or like I went to like leave, and I was bawling the entire time because I was like,
Uh-huh.
I'm never going to be here again. I'm never going to see my neighbors again.
Mhm.
Um, And like all of like our firsts in that apartment were coming back. Like I found out I was pregnant there. We had our daughter when we were there, and there was just a lot that happened. And I was like, it kind of felt like I was losing those memories for forever, even though I'm
Yeah.
not.
Mhm.
But I'll never get to like. It's more of like I'll never have firsts in that apartment ever again.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that kind of shit. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but I do.
Well, you're growing too. You're growing as a human being.
Yeah.
But that's that's something that's it's not necessarily hard for me to wrap my brain around because I mean, we're all aware that we all just have different paths in
Right.
life. Um, but as somebody who like my home is so important to me. Um, like it if my home isn't safe, if it's not looking the way I want it to, if it's if too many different people are coming in and out of it all the time, like I
Yeah.
have too many visitors, like it like sets me off. Like I don't know, I just get
Yeah.
anxious. So I couldn't imagine growing up having to pack up my life every couple years and moving again.
Right.
Um like some people can do that. Some people can detach and stuff like that, and
Right.
it might not have affected you like growing up and stuff, but now that you're like older and you were able to be in that apartment for so long that you were actually able to settle,
Yeah.
like moving was like really like ripping a band-aid
It
off.
was.
Like
I think because Dylan and I are very different people when it comes to stuff. Like he's a very sentimental person and he doesn't like getting rid of things, whereas
Mhm.
I'm not like I'm not that way at all. Like stuff is just stuff to me, and it's not hard for me to just be like, all right, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Um, and I do think that that has a lot to do with moving around so much because I couldn't keep a lot of stuff, and when we moved, I kind of had to go through stuff and figure out what am I taking and what are we donating or throwing away or
Mhm.
whatever. Um,
Well, you probably lost some stuff too. I
uh,
always lost stuff when I moved.
there's I don't even like I know my mom and I we just went through her storage unit, and there
Mhm.
was specific things that her and I were looking for that we did not find, and we have no idea where they could have gone. Because the most recent time that I moved with her um was when we moved from the trailer after her and my dad split, and we moved in with my grandparents for a little bit, and then we moved into the trailer she's in now. But I that was such a quick move,
Mhm.
and a lot of our stuff was in like a giant like I don't even know what to call it, but my uncle brought it over so we could put all of our stuff in it, and he
Mhm.
kept it. I don't know where we kept it, but I don't know, like there was a specific book I was looking for Jay that
Mhm.
I grew up with that my mom was also looking for, and we found an entire box of kids books, and that one book was not in there. And
Ugh.
we have no idea where it could have been. My books that I told you I was looking for, like all
Mhm.
my Twilight books, all of my like preteen books,
Yeah.
I was like, where the hell did those go? Like I had all of the Twilight books, and there was a bunch of other books that I had, and my mom's like, I wouldn't have gotten rid of them. I would have kept them for you. And I was like, I know
Yeah.
you would have, but I don't know where they are now because I would have kept them.
Mhm.
There's no way I would have gotten rid of them
Yeah.
unless I did and didn't realize it or didn't like remember it or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, there's a lot of memories that I'm like blocking out, kind of.
Yeah.
Because your brain does that. If you
Yeah.
experience something that's really hard, your brain's like, all right, I'm not going to remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To save itself.
yeah,
Like if it's like emotionally traumatic.
right. But the bad part about that is if it's a also physically traumatic thing,
Mhm.
your body remembers.
Yeah.
Even though your brain will forget it, your body will always remember it.
Oh yeah, your body holds trauma.
Yes.
Um and I just recently learned that. Um not in myself, just, listening to other people's stories and
Yeah.
whatnot. And they're like, here's how you can release the trauma from your hips. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people talk about like releasing trauma from certain areas, which
Hmm.
like makes sense. Um, but a lot of me feels like you have to kind of also be like if you don't know there's trauma in your body,
Hmm.
um, but you're, like, reacting to things,
Yeah.
I think it's important to kind of figure out what the trauma is before you try to release it from your body. That way you know what you're releasing. And it might be hard to go through,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard having to go through all your traumas. And that's why people, you know, avoid that stuff. That's why
Yeah.
people drink and stuff because they don't want to deal with it.
Right.
um and going back to, you know, like losing stuff when you're moving, um I think that like small things like that, that says a lot about when you don't have stability in your home to be in one spot like stationary for long periods of time.
Yeah.
um you lose things of sentimental value, um and things like that. And like I said, I had only moved once in my childhood from, you know, the house that I lived in until I was 6, and then moved to this farmhouse.
Yeah.
um so I never had to worry about that. I never had to worry about packing up.
Right.
I never had to worry about losing things or anything like that. um but you know, when I moved out into my first apartment and then, you know, got pregnant, had to move out again when the lease was up, and having pregnancy brain, having to move out fast and find a different place, and then having to move out of that place because the landlord sucked. Um, I definitely lost some things.
Right.
One thing that I lost that had a lot of sentimental value was a quilt. It was my great grandma who made it, and
Mhm.
she made it for my mom when my mom was little. It was a Holly Hobby quilt,
Aw.
and my mom had given it to me. And it was so thick, and it was gaudy looking too.
Right.
Like it just had those gaudy
Like
70s
quilts do.
fabrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the patchwork on it. Just it, honestly, it was ugly. But I realized a few months ago that I hadn't seen that in years, and I realized I must have left that somewhere
Yeah.
because I don't have it. It's definitely not here.
Okay.
Um,
Because I know we've got a quilt that mom gave us, and I don't know if it's what you're talking about, but it is, like, very patchworky.
is it the brown one?
I think so. I don't
Because
know.
there's
We have a few of them. I literally put them in a Ziploc bag, and I labeled it Diedrich quilts.
okay, because there's
So you'll
another
have to go
quilt
through it.
that I wanted that mom had, and it was like an old, it was like a wool quilt. So like the
Yeah.
back side was gray and the front side was like patchwork, like browns and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was always my other favorite quilt. And then the other thing I lost, or hopefully it's at this house somewhere, is that fairy book that I sent you.
Yeah, I haven't seen that at all. It
Oh my
might be in
gosh.
the attic somewhere,
I
in, like, a
hope it
box,
is.
because we didn't go through any of the stuff that Dylan reorganized in there, so you might have to go through the attic and figure out if anything you want is up there.
Oh my gosh. I would love to do that sometime when
Yeah.
we have time. Um, but it's a Fairyopolis book. I know that book has actually become more popular now
Okay.
that like the cottagecore stuff is more popular, mushrooms and
Yeah.
things like that. Um, but when I saw like I ended up seeing it online, like somebody made a TikTok about it and it went viral or whatever, and I was like, "Oh my god, I used to have that book."
Yeah.
And it was so cool.
I liked that book before you guys did. Losers.
I was cool before this was cool. Um, but it was very sentimental to me because mom gave that to me for Christmas, the Christmas that she came down with kidney failure again.
Oh,
And I'm pretty sure she wrote an inscription in it. She always put little inscriptions in
I
books
love it
and
when people do
notebooks.
that. Like, there's
Yes.
so many books I have that I don't remember who got it for me because, like, they didn't write in it.
Yeah.
But there's one that I got from my aunt, and it literally she, like, wrote in it, and I was like, I fucking love that.
Mhm.
So, like, every book I get my daughter, I will be writing in it for her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But anyways.
It's a nice thing to do, and it's like a little, I don't know, it's a cute little keepsake. I do that when I get people gifts too. Like one of my go-tos is to get people like um planners, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll write like a little inscription in the first like notes page or whatever to them,
Yeah.
or even just like a regular notebook. I mean, I'm a fan of notebooks. I have 4,000 of them
And
that are
they're
just
all
sitting
half
blank.
written in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
Yep. They're just,
Like the
I
one
don't
you
know.
have right now that I gave you.
Yeah.
This used to be a diary from when I was 13. And I think I tore all those pages out because they were embarrassing. But now they're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like short stories and stuff. And like there's wedding planning stuff in them. And I think there's some shadow work in here. Like this is the guest list for the original
For your
wedding.
wedding.
Yeah, 500 or what, 185.
185.
But there used to be 500. Can you imagine inviting 500 people to your wedding?
Oh my God.
No
I could
thanks.
not.
I don't even know.
I could not.
I don't even know 500 people. I probably know like
I don't even
30
think there's
people.
that many people in this town, honestly.
I said 30 people. That's how many people came to our actual wedding. And I definitely know more people than that. I think there was like 200 and something invited to the first wedding we planned. So I
Sure.
definitely know 200 people. For sure. Without a
But
doubt.
how well do you know them?
I think maybe half of them was your guys' family, so not very well. Like extended
Yeah.
family. Like we had invited your Ohio family
Mhm.
and I didn't know them at all at the time.
Yeah.
So,
My husband still is like, "You have family in Ohio?" And I'm like,
yeah.
"Yes. I've told you this, and
Yeah.
you've even met a few of them." And he's like, "Oh yeah, when did I meet them? How many times?" I'm like once.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I don't remember them.
Yeah. I think I was friends with them on Facebook before I actually met them. So,
Yeah. I don't know. We were a lot closer to them too. Like when I was younger, I know it was like at least once a year we would have Ohio family either come up here or we would go down there.
yeah. I've seen
Um,
like there's like VHS tapes of you
yeah.
guys at their house.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it was always fun. And then our side of the family has a Centennial farm down in Ohio. So, that's really cool because that house has been in the family for over 100 years.
sorry.
It's cramped in here.
Yeah, well, my pants are squeezing me.
Oh,
I wish I would have changed into leggings. That would have been a good idea. Future Mary, wear leggings, not jeans when you're doing the
yeah.
podcast. Jamie's
Like
got the right
me.
idea.
I can't wear pants. They dig into my incision.
Oh.
Um, I just had a almost said vasectomy. I got vasectomies on the brain, I guess. I clearly don't want any more kids.
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
Do you have any idea the
toll?
physical toll that
Yeah.
has on a person?
God.
Um,
Oh, there's more books up there. I'm so sorry.
but you're fine. I was looking to see if they were blank notebooks just hiding up
no, they're children's books
there.
that I need to take down.
But yeah, I just had a C-section 6 weeks ago. So this is me going back to work.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go back to real work because honestly, thinking about having to go to work after you've given birth 6 weeks ago
Yeah.
is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life. And to think that I actually did that after my first child.
Right.
Because I had to.
There are some people that don't get 6 weeks. And
I
that
can't even
sorry,
imagine.
I'm going to unzip my pants.
I can't even imagine. Because technically, like, it's supposed to be like a sick leave. Like, you're not
Yeah.
supposed to come back to work without, like, your doctor saying, yes, you can physically
Right.
go back to work. But, like, even so, being away from your newborn baby 9 hours a day with commuting and everything on average, not to mention having to like wake up and get ready, so like you're putting them down, like You have to get breakfast, you have to get your lunch ready, stuff like that. You have to pump if they're not hungry, if you're breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Like, that's just so much detachment in your kid that you're already creating. Like,
Yeah.
and then parents wonder why their kid won't go to bed at night and constantly wants them.
Right.
It's like, because you're away from them all day, they get 2 hours of your time when you get home,
Mhm.
and they don't wanna sleep in their own bed because they're terrified you're gonna leave for so
Yeah.
long.
I was blessed to have the time that I did.
Mhm.
I had 4 months of paid maternity leave. It was like
God, that's
6
so
weeks
nice.
of full pay, and then the rest of it was half pay. And it was amazing. I was blessed to get that time off, but I also only got that time off because I work for an amazing company and I was in a very decent position. I was in a very good position. It was like
Yeah.
a perfect place for me to be. And then I went back after 4 months. I went back to work and I worked for 2 months. Um, and then I became a stay-at-home mom. And I work like I
I worked for 2 months and said, "Fuck this
Well,
shit."
it was really only because we couldn't find, childcare for her,
Yeah.
and we didn't wanna overwhelm you because you were pregnant and you had your own children to take care of, and I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm not adding my own kid onto her stress, fuck that."
I would have welcomed it, but it definitely would have been a lot to handle.
Yes. So we were like, "We're not gonna do that to Jamie."
Oh, well,
Um
plus you wouldn't have been able to for a couple months anyway. You'd have only been able to use me for a couple months because I would have had to go on my own maternity leave
Right, exactly.
shortly
So
after.
it made more sense for me to just originally I was just going to quit altogether. But then I was talking to our store manager and she was like, "Well, why don't we do this? Why don't you go down to part-time associate and you give us what you want to work and we'll do it." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." So I work like 2 days out of the week, but I only work like 8 hours a week. Um
Which is really nice. Like,
yes.
honestly, that's something I would like to have. Like, yeah, like, a 10-hour week part-time thing.
You want to come work for us? We're hiring.
I wouldn't be able to stand that commute,
That's fair.
honestly, even though it's not very
That's
far.
fair. It wouldn't be worth it
Plus,
in gas for you guys anyways, you
yeah,
know?
honestly, like, working that small amount, um, even though honestly I would like to just, be able to get out a little bit,
Yeah.
but, at the same time, I don't even know if I could get hired in for retail because I don't have, um, retail experience.
I got hired there at 16 as my first job ever. So, you don't
Which
need retail experience for
I
our job.
remember that, but I had applied at a lot of retail places, like,
Really?
when I was in high school and just out of high school,
Mhm.
and every single one of them turned me down because I didn't have retail
That's
experience.
crazy because I know where I work, we hire high schoolers
Mhm.
all the time as a first job. Like,
Well, I should have applied there then.
it's honestly, it's a really nice job,
Mhm.
because it's very low maintenance. I think the most stressful part about it is the customers, and it's a very rare chance that you get a dick for a customer. Um, but it's like, I don't know, I like working there, and I
Mhm.
always have. I've been there for 6 years,
Yeah.
so I
There's a
think that
reason
says a
why
lot
you
about the
haven't left.
company. Yeah. You know who you are. My boss knows I'm
If
doing
you're
this.
listening. Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. I was like, "I'm gonna start a podcast," and she was like, "Oh, what are you gonna talk about?" I was like, "Oh, fuck if I know. Fuck if I know." But
I don't know. Anything? Everything?
yeah.
Whatever.
Could I interest you in everything all of the time? In sync breath.
Yeah,
That was
that was
awesome.
nice.
I hope you enjoyed that breathing ASMR. I asked Dylan and he never answered me. Is it asthma or ASMR? How do you pronounce it? I fuck if I know. I say
ASMR puppies.
that's what I said.
CMP.
I asked him, I go, is it asthma or ASMR? And then he just kept talking. And you can hear me in the background in the episode go, OSMR, LIB, just like at a distance. And he's ignoring me the whole time. He said before, he was like, I don't even know you say funny stuff until I'm listening back because I can't hear you. And I'm like, loser.
Loser. See, like, there's so many things you could say with ASMR. Like, if you're a Lord of the Flies kid, Like you read that book and watched that movie.
I think Dylan
Sucks
brought
to
that
your
up.
ass, Samar.
Yeah, I think Dylan brought that up actually when I said that, because
Really?
we started talking about when they I don't even he says it's not part of the book, and he doesn't remember who told him about when they share the pig head. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh my god, I don't even remember.
I've never read Lord of the Flies. Because I took my English class that year online because I did
Yeah.
auto tech.
Mhm,
So they were going to have me in Miss Scott Kaiser's class,
mhm.
but I was like, I'm not fucking taking her class because I don't think she liked me. I had her for journalism, which is where I met Dylan, but her and I just like we didn't butt heads, but there just was no chemistry. I was like, I
Yeah.
don't want you as a teacher.
Miss Scott butted heads with everyone in high school, and my theory is that she was actually really, really smart about knowing which I guess which kids could think outside of high school life
Yeah.
and which ones couldn't.
Okay.
And if you were like 100% aware that there was a life outside of high school and after high school, and that anything that happened in high school wasn't going to matter, she kind of, I guess, just like liked you better. I
Okay.
don't know. um, and I don't know. I think that was her thing.
Yeah. That would make
Um,
sense.
yeah,
She
because
just
there was.
retired.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
I didn't
this
know
year.
that. I actually liked her as a teacher. She kind of saved my junior year
Okay.
for me, and it was because, um, junior year is always really hard for everybody. It just ends up being the really hard it ends up being the really hard year in high
Yeah.
school. Um, because you're trying to cram everything into junior year so that your senior year can be a little more easy.
So
Um, not that case for
not
you.
for me. I didn't give a shit about anything that was happening ever. Like you could ask my mom. My high school experience, I was just like, yeah,
Yeah, I kind of was like mostly it was just I didn't give a shit about doing homework.
me
Like
neither.
I already gave like 8 hours a day every day to school. Why the fuck should I give more
My
than 40 hours a week to school?
my
Why?
home time is for my home life. My
Yeah.
home time is for my relationship with my family, for my hobbies, for me to rest up and take care of myself, for eating, for extracurriculars I might do.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell would I do homework? I never did homework. I only did homework if it affected my grade bad enough. Or I
Yeah.
only did homework when it interested me. Like algebra, I think both algebra classes, I liked doing algebra. And only sometimes I would do the homework
Mhm.
if I liked what we were learning and if it was fun for me.
Yeah.
So I was that's the ADHD talking. I'm only going to do something if I like it.
Yep. um yep. I would only ever do homework when there was a big creative aspect to it.
Yeah.
Like I did a lot of um English homework because there'd be like poetry involved and stuff, and I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, I'm
Yes.
all about this shit."
I love
Um,
English.
I don't know, poetry is like a puzzle to me. Like if
Yes.
you're gonna make it rhyme, then I'm like, "Hell yeah,
Yeah.
this is a fucking word
That's
puzzle."
why I wrote songs all the time. Like
Mhm.
half of my notebooks are just full, like half full of just songs I've written.
Yeah, I have like 5 half full notebooks that have songs in them.
Yeah.
Not just one full one, but
Multiple half songs, half
yes.
of a notebook full of half songs.
Yep. Um, well, I think that's
Yeah, I
all
think
we got time for in this
absolutely.
podcast.
We'll just end it here. That way we don't have to like do another like little thing and be like, okay, we're see
Yeah,
you next time. See
right.
ya. Like they
See you next time.
Yeah.
Um,
See out of your ears, freak assholes. God, you should get that checked out. You should go to a doctor, perhaps.
yeah, it's a
Seek
medical
help.
issue.
Okay.
Um, well, I hope everyone enjoyed this little snippet of whatever the hell this show is going to be about.
Absolutely. Next time we'll probably have more of a solid topic because this one
Yeah,
was just
more
kind of like the
direction.
introduction. So, all right.
Yeah. All right, Jamie and Mary signing off.
Peace.